First, on to the point tonight, a youth drag show fundraiser in Placer County has been canceled after outcry from some community members over both the youth drag show just in general and its originally scheduled location at Roseville High School. And it's a controversial story, and our goal is to tell it reasonably and fairly. Rebecca Habegger sat down with opposing groups to hear their perspectives.
I think growing up queer and depressed, you have this feeling of like hopelessness, and you feel like things are truly never going to get better.
Issa Soud is 21, but in her teen years, she was a member of The Landing Spot, a non-religious support group for LGBTQIA+ youth and their parents in Placer County, and she's now a mentor there. You'll also hear the umbrella term queer, a word which for years was used offensively, but has since been reclaimed by the LGBTQIA+ community.
Finding The Landing Spot and having queer elders and mentors that I could look up to and feel like, oh, there is hope, I can thrive, like I will be okay, was huge for my mental health.
There are very few places where queer kids in this community have the ability to just be with other kids like themselves and to just be in a space that is safe and supportive.
Pastor Casey Tinnen leads Loomis Basin Congregational United Church of Christ and through his church founded The Landing Spot.
One of the reasons why The Landing Spot is so important is that it gives young people the opportunity to be a teenager, to establish healthy relationships, to learn how to communicate well with others. We must give them a future and a hope.
Last summer, The Landing Spot hosted its first ever summer camp for queer youth, and in 2 previous years has held a youth drag show to raise money for that camp.
It was standing room only, and those young people performed their hearts out. I'll never forget a mom saying at the end of that night, "Thank you for giving me my kid back."
So this year they looked for a bigger venue and found the Roseville High School Theater, which community groups are able to rent outside of regular school hours for things like dance recitals and church services. But then some community members learned The Landing Spot planned on holding a youth drag show on school campus.
Drag is a biological male who dresses up as the opposite gender in women's clothing. We look at this and say, well, what values do these teach children?
Tanner DeBella is president and founder of the Rockland-based American Council.
The American Council is a Judeo-Christian advocacy group, and so we advance values that are related to life, liberty, morality, and family.
In a press release last Friday, DeBella wrote, "Drag should not be an underage activity on a high school campus. The American Council has a family network of about 9,000 people in Roseville. We quickly emailed our stakeholders letting them know of the event and encouraged them to reach out to Roseville High School." The district ultimately decided to revoke The Landing Spot's permit to hold the event, telling ABC 10 they received numerous complaints, causing significant disruption to the district's daily operations. Additionally, there were concerns as to potential threats to the safety of students and staff. And The Landing Spot did not accurately describe the type of fundraising event they planned. Once clarified as a drag show event involving minor students, an administrative review determined the event did not comply with board policy.
It was heartbreaking to know that there were people in the community who would do ill to our students.
I wish we had some Christians and church leaders who were not afraid to confront some things.
On Sunday, Pastor Greg Farrington of Destiny Christian Church in Rockland mentioned the drag show in his sermon.
Loomis Basin Community Church is sponsoring a drag queen event promoting to minors.
Pastor Casey says the high-profile attention from the megachurch's leader, the American Council, and others in the community has caused the youth and parents of The Landing Spot to fear for their safety.
I had to sit with parents who grieved and cried and were concerned about their kids.
On Monday evening, the youth, parents, and leaders of The Landing Spot met to discuss the situation.
We had the kids go around and tell us how they felt about having the drag show, and they were like, they didn't feel safe.
And so
we decided that we will not continue with this drag show for further notice.
I asked Pastor Greg and Tanner DeBella about this.
What is your response to these young people feeling threatened and concerned by you using your platform to address this?
We would never advocate violence to anybody, any individual, especially minors or children. We would never do that. So we're not inciting anything.
And just to clarify, in this context, what would an appropriate biblical confrontation look like of, in this case, the drag show?
Our voices need to be heard in our community. And we can't be silent as a church. We got to speak up.
Nothing in our messaging, nothing in our tone, nothing in our hearts would ever advocate for violence or condemnation of people. We love people, even those that we disagree with. And we are opposing this because of the safety and innocence of children.
For me, it is heartbreaking because As a Christian, as a pastor, the greatest commandment is to love our neighbor, to tend to the least of these. And these are the least among us. These young people have no place to go.
All right, Becca Haubecker with us right now. What comes next?
Yeah, so as you saw, the landing spot has decided to cancel the drag show that was originally scheduled for March 31st. They're currently looking for other ways to fundraise to send those kids to camp.
And I do want to talk about mental health and the role that this plays, because we know that research does show that LGBTQ youth generally struggle with things like depression more.
Yeah, there's a new report out from the CDC tracking youth risk behavior. It found a little over half of queer students had recently experienced poor mental health, and 1 in 5 had actually tried taking their life in the past year. Now, incidentally, both Pastor Casey and Tanner DeBella cited these stats. Pastor Casey says that's why places like the landing spot are so crucial, creating a safe space that supports those teens' mental health. Whereas Tanner with the American Council wonders if those teens are perhaps experiencing higher rates of mental health issues because they identify as queer. So two different sets of eyes on the same information. That's what we do here on To The Point. We present both sides and let the viewers decide.
Yep, exactly right. All right, thank you, Becca.